Hi, my name is Haley Cranston, and I am a fourth-year student at the University of Guelph studying psychology, and I have been a residence assistant there for the previous 2 years. I had a really wonderful experience working in residence life. It helped to shape my outlook on life and society. It's given me the privilege to know and work with amazing people who are all very good at doing what can sometimes be a very draining job. It's afforded me many great opportunities, such as speaking with all of you today. As a first-year student, I was struggling with the transition to university much more than I think anyone else thought that I would. I had family members who struggled with mental illness, but I was always under the misconception that you needed to have a clinical diagnosis in order for there to be something wrong. My listlessness must have been because I had suddenly become very lazy as opposed to being in a high-stress, foreign situation without any abilities to cope. Something that helped me was joining residence life. It made me feel connected to my university campus, which has since become something that is very integral to my life here at Guelph. It also taught me that mental health is something that every person needs to be aware of, especially in university where the environment is very high stress, but also that you do not have to be diagnosed with a mental illness in order to be aware of how important it is to be conscious of your mental health and have tools and resources, both personal within yourself, but also embedded on university campuses and within the university system to help foster better mental health and to be there when a person is struggling. So something that I think residences and university campuses do really well in order to ensure that students keep mentally healthy is to have a dualistic approach to mental health. So that is having systems and policies in place that allow for students who come to campus with an already diagnosed mental illness to make the transition as smoothly as possible, but also to allow for students who may come into a mental illness while they're in residence or who just want to keep a healthy mental state, allow that to happen. So some ways that we do that in residence is to run programs. That's a huge part of being an RA. And it's sometimes unfortunately difficult to run a program and label it as one that deals with mental health. The turnout is unfortunately usually very low. But the way that we kind of get around this is to run programs that have a really holistic viewpoint of health in general. So we run stress busters during exams. We run programs to help students learn how to deal with stress. We run programs that have a very academic focus, so whether that's stress management or time management, so that they can get their papers done on time, they know how to deal with a really heavy workload. We also run programs where the professors will come into residence so that the idea of going into a lecture hall with 500 other students is a little bit less daunting. And other programs that we run deal with things such as healthy eating and sexual health so that the student has a kind of a very well-rounded view of their own health that will hopefully then combat mental health and mental illness. Another thing that we do in residence that I think is really successful is give students a bit of a safe haven or opportunities to make really great connections that will help to drive them forward for the next 4 years of their life. So whether that's connections with their residence assistant, someone who hopefully they can come and talk to when they're having issues, or hopefully come and talk to make sure that issues don't turn into crises, but also just to have relationships with their peers that are going to carry them through for the next 4 years of their lives. So they can also learn about resources on campus that they can use, they can find their peers and use them as a resource for the rest of their university. So if there's something that I want people working on campuses to know about mental health in residence is, first of all, I think that there has been really great strides made in the recent past to destigmatize mental health as much as possible, but that stigma and that lack of information still very much exists. I'm sure that that's something that all the professionals on campus are already aware of, especially in the demographic we have at Guelph. A lot of people come from very small towns where mental illness is not discussed or the idea of good mental health is not discussed at all. So students often come to us with a really blank slate, which can be dangerous on one hand, but also a really great opportunity to teach and educate and make sure that they're going to live the next 4 years of their lives and beyond with really as much great mental health as possible. I think that residence assistants and student leaders on campus are an amazing resource, and I hope that the professionals on campus feel that you can use us as much as possible. We're some of the most keen people you'll ever meet, and if you don't think that the mental health on campus is up to the standards you think that it should be, use your residence assistants and DONs as a really great resource at the front lines of mental health on campus. Train us the way that you feel like we need to be trained, and make sure that you, during those first weeks of training that we have, instill the policies and practices on your campus that you think are the most important to circumvent crises, but to also make sure that we know how to handle crises when they do happen. We obviously don't have the same level of training as the professionals do, but we really do try and achieve the same level of aid as the professionals on campus. So make sure that we are of as service to you as the best way possible that doesn't conflict with anything that's going to happen later. Thank you so much for listening to my presentation, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.